Hi, in this episode, I'm going to tell you about 10 reasons why you give up on language learning. Why is it so important? Because many people give up on language learning sooner than they expected, and they don't really know why. They feel that there is something wrong, they don't feel so motivated anymore, and they just decide to give up because that's the easiest way. And actually very few people try to reflect on this problem, try to find a solution. So that's why I'm recording this episode, to help you solve this problem if you have it, or maybe you've had it in the past. So the reason number one is that you don't even know why you started in the first place. When I ask my students, why did you decide to learn this language? They don't really know. They often give some general answers, but in most cases I see that they don't have a very specific reason. When you start learning a language, you have to be sure about it. You have to know exactly why you want to do it, because if you don't know it, you will certainly give up after a few weeks or months. The reason number two is your teacher. Maybe you don't like him or her. We've all had many teachers in our education, and we all liked some of them and we disliked some of them. That's totally normal. If you have private classes with your teacher one-on-one, it's very easy to choose someone else. But I understand that in many situations it's not possible and you can't choose your teacher. So in such cases, I suggest that you talk to your teacher. If you don't like his or her teaching methods, for example, I'm sure that most teachers appreciate it when their students suggest some improvements, because they know that what they're doing is right. So don't be afraid to talk to your teacher if you feel that this is not what you expected. Number three is your time management. I know that we're all busy, we all have many things to do during the day, and maybe you think that you don't have enough time to learn a new language. You focus your attention on other things, and at the end of the day you realize that you wanted to study a foreign language, but you didn't do it because you didn't have enough time. So try to think about how you manage your time. Do you plan your day? Do you know how much time you spend on each activity? Probably you don't, and I'm sure that you waste a lot of time every day doing things that are not important to you. A good idea to realize that you're doing something wrong with your time is to make a list of all the things that you did, for example, yesterday, since the moment when you woke up in the morning until you went to bed. And when you make such a list and calculate the time that you spent on each activity, you will realize that you wasted a lot of time, and instead you could use it to learn a new language. Reason number four is that maybe you just change your mind. It happens, we all make bad choices in our lives. Maybe you thought that it would be a great idea to learn a foreign language, and your choice was incorrect. Maybe after a few weeks you realize that it's not what you expected, and it makes no sense to keep on learning that language. It happens, it's a normal thing, and the best solution is to stop learning this language, because if you keep doing that, you will just waste your time. So remember that there's nothing wrong with it. Number 5, you don't make progress anymore. And maybe you really don't make progress, or maybe it's just your impression. If you've been learning a language for a few years, it is very possible that you're not making progress because there's little left for you to learn. But if you just started learning a language maybe a few weeks ago, a few months ago, you should be making visible progress. And if you don't see it, maybe it's time for you to reflect on this problem and maybe change the learning methods that you're using. Number 6, you always use the same learning methods. That's what many people do, and actually very few people learn in a conscious way. The easiest way is always to take a book, read what's in it, do some exercises, and that's how most people learn foreign languages. But there are many other methods, and I'm sure that you can create a list of at least 10 methods that you've never used, and I'm pretty sure that they will be more effective than what you've been doing so far. Number 7 is your learning environment. And by environment, I mean mostly people that participate somehow in your language learning process. Maybe if you decided to learn on your own, you feel alone and you have no one to talk to, there's no one to help you, to motivate you. And if that's the case, try to find at least one person who is learning the same language as you and who is more or less at the same level. Number 8, you are discouraged by errors and low grades. Your attitude towards making errors and low grades is very important. Most language learners perceive errors as something bad. And for people who are successful at language learning, each error is a new opportunity. It's an opportunity to learn something new. I hope that you will change your mindset about that, and the next time when you make an error, you will see it as a good opportunity. I always say that it's better to make 10 errors and learn something new than make 0 errors and don't learn anything at all. Number 9, language learning is not a pleasure for you. Yes, I think it could be a pleasure, and if it's not, it means that you're doing something wrong. If you want to learn a foreign language but you don't find it pleasant, it simply means that you have to change something. Learning languages is not like learning history or biology or mathematics. It's totally different because languages are everywhere. Anywhere you look, anywhere you go, there is language. So try to think of a way to combine your hobbies, what you like, with language learning. It's very easy. For example, if you like watching movies, you can watch those movies in a foreign language. If you like history books, for example, I'm sure there are many books written in the language that you're learning. The last reason, number 10, is that you learn what you don't need. This is especially important in memorizing vocabulary. Many people think that the more words they will memorize, the better. Well, this is wrong. One of the reasons why you might want to give up on language learning is that you don't find it useful. You see all these hours that you spend learning a foreign language and you don't think that what you've learned is really useful in real life. So before you start memorizing some words, for example, try to think about it for a moment and decide whether you really need it or not. I hope that this episode was useful for you. Remember to subscribe to this channel and watch other videos.